So this first thing I want to talk about, a little bit of a funny story. Apparently Donald Trump is stinky. I'm not sure how much you guys have heard about this. So Trump is in one of his criminal trials. This is the Stormy Daniels I banged a porn star and then faked business records to cover it up trial. Which I don't even see why we need a trial. The motherfucker obviously did it. Right? Michael Cohen already went to prison for this and everything. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just a formality. But no, I guess, rule of law and blah, 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 all that shit. So he has to have a trial. And reports have come out during this trial that Donald Trump is stinky. What exactly is going on here? Apparently he's been falling asleep, number one, which is very funny because, the nickname he gave to Joe Biden is Sleepy Joe Biden. But not just that, he's also been farting. And this is not the first time that we've heard of Donald Trump being a big, ugly poo-poo head, unable to control his bowel emanations or whatever. Apparently, has a bit of a reputation for shitting himself. And what is that all about? Well, so the rumor is, now keep in mind this is just a rumor, although it is rather well substantiated, and we'll get to that in a minute. The rumor is that Trump is essentially a speed junkie, and that he's been taking stimulants for the past 30 years, whether that be cocaine or some other form of stimulant. And there actually is some proof behind this. If you remember, there was a photo back in, I think, 2018, maybe 2018, 2019, and it was around Cinco de Mayo, and what it was is that Donald Trump was posing in front of a taco salad from Taco Bell, which, remember, at that time, he was like 75. Guy's still fucking eating at Taco Bell. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You're a billionaire. Why are you eating junk food? Like, you would think that if you're a billionaire, you would actually get like some real food, but I don't know, whatever. So he's posing, taking a picture with a fucking taco salad from Taco Bell, and he said some shit like in his Twitter, because this was on Twitter. He said something like, yeah, the Mexican Americans love me or whatever, or I love my Latinos. He said something like that as he's eating Taco Bell, which is like, okay, be a little more patronizing, why don't you? But anyway, if you look in the background of that photo, and I should have looked it up, but I'm not going to bother to. But you can look it up if you want yourselves. In the background of that photo, there's a big open drawer with multiple boxes of Sudafed. And what it is that there's a certain chemical, like there's a drug in the Sudafed that basically you can get off on, gets you high. And you can't get that brand of Sudafed in the United States. You can only get it in Europe. And that's what he had. He had the brand that they sell in Europe that you can essentially fucking like abuse like speed. And that's what it was. And so now, is that proof that Donald Trump is a fucking speed addict? Maybe, maybe not. You can't really say one way or the other. We don't really know. I mean, just because there's a drawer in his office with like 20 boxes of fucking European Sudafed, just because that exists, that's circumstantial evidence. I mean, it's enough to convince me, but, I'm somebody who has a very deep anti-Trump bias to begin with. So, somebody like me is already looking for an excuse to not vote for this asshole, and that's all I need. It's like, okay, he's fucking crackhead. That's why I'm not going to vote for him. But the rumor is that he's been basically taking these types of stimulants for decades. And one of the things that happens with these types of stimulants is that you shit yourself. You become incontinent. And it's because the stimulants they're a diuretic. And I know this because I actually have to take medicine in my daily life, which is also a diuretic, and it makes me fucking pee all the time. And so I understand how it is. It's like, okay, yeah, that shit makes you pee every 5 minutes or whatever. So apparently he's been abusing these types of stimulants for a very long time. And it's something that now he's kind of incontinent. And he has a reputation for shitting himself. it's no surprise to me that we would see reports of this coming out of the courtroom. And to be honest, I suspect the truth is Donald Trump is actually shitting himself in the courtroom. And the court reporters are kind of doing him a solid by not reporting that to the people. If I had to bet money, that's what I would bet is going on. And you know why he's falling asleep during the courtroom is because he's not taking any of his speed. He's not doing any of the drugs that he's usually hopped up on. He's not doing that because he's in a courtroom and he has to pay attention. And he's so used to being high all the time that he can't fucking stay awake. I could definitely see that being a thing. Now, this is just all a conspiracy theory, and I admit this 100%. There's very little proof. We just have this circumstantial evidence that Donald Trump shits himself all the time. I want to show to you guys here an interview. This is a guy named Noel Castor. This is on TikTok, and this is about a 2-minute long thing. Let's make this big so you guys can see it. And let's just increase the size of that just a little bit. Noel Castor apparently was a former apprentice staff person talking about working with Trump. Let's go ahead and give this guy a listen.
He's pants, right?
All the time. The nickname the nickname for The Apprentice, if you're a boom operator on that show, is the show. Because he'd himself publicly. Remember how I told you about the words like arbitrage?
Yeah.
So if he saw...
So, by the way, this is not the first guy to actually say this. There's other interviews with other former apprentice stagehands and people who worked on that show that essentially corroborate this story. And that's what makes me think that there's something to it. Because if it was just one guy making this stuff up, you'd be like, okay, yeah, that's funny, whatever, but it's probably bullshit. But when you have multiple people with basically telling the same story, that kind of lends to the fact that there could be something to it. Now, here's the thing about Hollywood, folks, right? The unwritten rule about Hollywood is you never talk shit about the people you work with. Doesn't matter who they are. Do not talk shit about the people you work with, right? You know why? Because you don't know who you're going to be working with in the future. So so any of you guys out there who are ever trying to make it in Hollywood, keep that in mind. Do not badmouth people you work with, right? Because one day you may be on a set with that guy, you may be working with that guy, you may be working under that guy. You never know. And you might just talk enough shit to get you fired from a job or something. So never badmouth people. And the fact that these guys are coming on interviews and they're bad-mouthing Trump and they're bad-mouthing their experiences on this show, it just lends a little bit of credibility to me. It tells me that they're like, okay, this was so fucking horrible that I don't care if I never work with Trump again. Or I don't care if I never work with this particular producer again or this particular network again. Fuck these people. Like, that's what it tells me. It's like, you'll notice people will come forward, especially in Hollywood, people will come forward when shit is really horrible. This kind of makes me think it might be real. So let's continue on, though. It's only been about 20 seconds.
Because he'd himself publicly. Remember how I told you about the words like arbitrage?
Yeah.
So if he saw a word he didn't like and he couldn't pronounce, which is basically any 3-syllable word, he would freak out and he'd fly into a rage and then it would let loose. He doesn't, and you would hear it.
Another thing, by the way, don't want to interrupt it again, but this is also not the first time we've heard that Donald Trump has difficulty reading. This is another rumor that's flying around, which... And not just from guys that worked on The Apprentice, even from people in the government. They would say Donald Trump is essentially fucking, like, almost illiterate. That he can read when he, like, concentrates, but he doesn't concentrate and he can barely fucking read. There were stories about him in the White House, about how they would want to give him reports, and they would have to dumb it down immensely because he wouldn't fucking pay attention and he couldn't read what they were writing for him. So, for example... Obama used to get every single night like a huge giant report with all the shit that's going on in the world and everything that he has to know about and blah, 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 blah. You know, pages and pages and pages, 200-300 pages every single night. And Obama used to read it all the way through. And Donald Trump they tried doing that and he just wouldn't fucking read it. Just didn't have the attention span, just didn't like give a fuck half the time and didn't know what the fuck they were talking about half the time. And apparently they had to dumb it down and put lots of graphs and photos in it in order to get him to pay attention. And then they found the only way that they would really get him to pay attention is if they put stuff about him on the front page. And that was what they did for their daily briefings. So it makes you kind of wonder. It's like, gee, no wonder he fucked up the COVID response so fucking bad. No wonder he let Putin walk all fucking over him, right? No wonder he let Erdogan basically just fuck him up the ass and like, you know, get away with all kinds of ridiculous bullshit. Remember that time? Like, I don't know. I don't want to go off on a big ass tangent here, but it makes perfect fucking sense with the interviews that we hear about people who have worked with Donald Trump in the past. That this guy's a fucking moron.
He's profoundly incontinent, bro. I'm talking like a minute-long evacuation of his bowels.
Like a cartoon character.
Yeah, no, in full audio. Like, you know, imagine the guy's got a lavalier. There's some dude like this being like, I just heard that guy shit himself for 5 minutes. And the reason for that is I used to do a lot of as laxative. Stimulants have laxative.
I think what he just said there is I used to do a lot of coke. I think that's what the guy just said. And yeah, kind of looking at his face, yeah, he looks like he did a lot of coke. So I believe him.
You know, so it's a combination of like 30 years of stimulant abuse and eating nothing but McDonald's because all he eats is cheeseburgers and then meatloaf at night. So he's got 40 pounds of undigested meat in his colon, and he's basically feeding diuretics all day long. That's what stimulants are. They create water in your guts, you know, in your intestines.
Even a coffee,
true, yes.
You need to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. So imagine your coffee and like 6 months worth of Big Macs down there, and then you fly into a rage, so you just lose control.
So.
I remember it like it was yesterday. You don't forget your first kiss and the first time you see Donald Trump shit his pants.
I mean, kind of sounds very convincing. I believe it. Now remember, this is a guy, staff member. This dude has made a calculation in his mind that I would rather never work on this show or anything connected to it ever again. Like, I would rather tell this story and get blacklisted, essentially, than to ever, like, let this go. And this dude right here is basically burning a bridge with everyone that worked on The Apprentice. He's burning a bridge with that network. He's burning a bridge with fucking the producers of that show. Do you think they're going to hire this guy again after listening to this interview? No. So this guy has basically made this calculation saying, hey, it is worth it for me to cut off a potential source of future income in order to get the truth about Donald Trump out there. He's making it up just to get attention on a podcast? If he's making it up, then he's taking an awful big risk. Kind of makes me think it's real, but let's continue.
And it was on the set of SNL. It was Studio 8H, that thing you watch every Saturday night. That's where the first fake boardroom was built. And they were doing a run through, and arbitrage was the word. And he pointed at the cue cards and said, "You guys are setting me up." He curses like crazy.
Right.
And then, you know what I mean? Then the sound. And you're like, that didn't just happen. And they're like, yup, it happened. And it's like, okay, stand down. And then Keith Schiller, who's his big bodyguard, come and gets him. And they change him out in the host dressing room. They have to take him up these little stairs. So that's how you see him walking. I don't know if you know that set.
Like, do you smell it? Does he just smell like
You smell it? Oh, he smells like all the time anyway. Because he doesn't brush his teeth. Those are like dentures and shit. So, and he's too arrogant to like take care of himself. If you watch him as president giving speeches, you'll see him lined up with people like when he was doing the coronavirus stuff. And if you see him turn and talk to somebody, you'll see that person recoil just slightly. You know what I mean? You know when people have really bad breath and it like hits you in the face?
Yeah.
That's his breath is bad, dude.
Wow.
Like,
Let's go ahead and turn that off for now. I believe it. I believe it, man. Because this guy, first off, he sounds very convincing to me. You know, like I said, he basically doesn't benefit from telling this story. In fact, he hurts his future career prospects. But the way the guy's speaking, it's the guy's speaking with conviction. It doesn't sound like a story that somebody's just made up. You know what I mean? And he's also not the only person to have said this type of thing about Donald Trump, that Donald Trump is basically stinky. First off, it's completely believable as well. Somebody who's too arrogant to take care of himself, doesn't brush his teeth. That fits with Donald Trump's personality. Like what we know about Donald Trump and his personality, that fits incredibly well. Doesn't want to brush his teeth, doesn't take care of himself, is too arrogant to take care of himself. It fits very well with a man who has gotten every single thing that he's ever wanted his entire life, and who's surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men who are too chicken shit to stand up to him because they want his money. 100%, I believe that shit. We also have a few other things that I would like to display to you guys here. Does Donald Trump wear diapers? Well, here is a photo that is on Twitter, because that's what the website is called. It is not called X. Donald Trump in a diaper. This has not been photoshopped. This is not AI. This is actually him. Kinda looks like a diaper to me. Kinda looks like it to me. Like, if it's not a diaper, then what the hell is this? Is this some kind of weird, gross Jabba the Hutt underbelly thing? Like, what the hell is it if it's not a fucking diaper? Looks like it to me. So, of course, you would think, upon learning that your Cheeto-dusted Jesus is an incontinent speed addict who constantly shits his own pants, that would turn some of the MAGA crowd off of him. But it has had the exact opposite effect. We now have Republicans who are doing shit like this. Diapers over Dems. This is at a Trump rally here. I think this is actually from the recent one in New Jersey, I believe. Diapers over Dems, with a golden diaper with Trump's face on it. Here's another photo, and these photos are real, by the way. Real men wear diapers. Trump 2024. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, so what are these people doing? They're trying to get in front of the news that Donald Trump wears diapers and he's an old incontinent man who shits himself by trying to own it. And it very much reminds me of how, if you remember, way back in the day, right, when 2016, when Hillary Clinton basically said that conservatives and Trump supporters were a basket of deplorables, she kind of threw away the election with that. Because what did they do? All the Trump people basically embraced it and said, we're deplorables, Hillary's deplorables, and they started making t-shirts. And they start calling themselves the deplorables and all this other stuff. And they owned it. And it's a way that of throwing the middle finger at someone. You know, someone tries to make fun of you. You know, like, let's say, I don't know. Let's say you're short or something. And you're in middle school and everybody calls you shorty. And a way of disarming the bullies is to not get offended when people call you short, but is to own it. And you just own it, and then you start, you know, you're proud, and you're like, that's right, my name is Shorty, and then you fucking wear a t-shirt saying Shorty is awesome, and you just, you know, you make that shit awesome, and so that way the bullies, they can't bully you with it anymore. That's basically what it is. That's what they did with the deplorables thing, and they turned it into a badge of honor. So everybody who hated Hillary Clinton suddenly joined the deplorables crowd. And kind of reminds me that's what they're kind of trying to do here. And somehow real men wears diapers, not as cool as being called a deplorable. Not in the same league as Hillary's deplorables. You know what I mean? Somehow I don't think that this is going to resonate as well with your typical voter. Because this is something like, you know, maybe independents might have heard the deplorables thing and kind of been like, yeah, fuck Hillary Clinton. somehow I don't think the same people are going to be like, oh, did real men wear diapers? Yeah. You know, like, somehow I don't think it's going to resonate. I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. Here's a couple of other little bits from Twitter. So the MAGAs have gone from I'd rather be a Russian than a Democrat to I'd rather wear adult diapers than be a Democrat. Is that what's happening here? That's what's going on. Adult diapers. Here's another one. This is another photo. And something you may have noticed is that in all the previous photos we've seen, it's all been super old people. Well, nope. This kid is probably too young to vote, which I kind of hope so. Sort of looks like a teenager. This might be MAGA rock bottom. Well, I don't think our founding fathers imagined the GOP would come to this. I guess. Here's the thing. This kid, if he's even 18, I doubt it. He looks like he's 16 to me. If you were a 16-year-old kid, like, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be caught dead wearing this t-shirt. Like, I would have got my ass kicked if I were to, like, show up in school with a t-shirt that said real men wear diapers. Like, my friends would have beat the crap out of me on principle. Right? That's what would have happened to me. So somehow either this kid is very brave or maybe his parents made him wear it, but I doubt that. I think he just, thinks that he's cool. It's like, I'm sorry, kid. This is what cults do to you, man. You know what I'm saying? A few more here. There's the real men wear diapers banner. That's in case you thought this was all fake. That's real. This is a real photo. These are real people walking around proudly proclaiming that sphincter mouth McBurgerfuck shits his pants. This is Laney on X. These idiots are going to vote. Make sure you vote too. Yeah, so there you go. That's your real men wear diapers merch. Now, it could be that maybe this particular family or whoever these people are, maybe they're selling this stuff. Like, look at that guy in the middle with the beard. This guy right here. Look at this guy with a beard. 10 to 1, that guy probably owns a t-shirt press. You know what I mean? He probably owns a silk screening company or something, and he ran off a whole shitload of these stupid-ass t-shirts so that he can sell them to gullible Trump dickheads. That is very much a thing, by the way. Like, this sort of web of, like, entrepreneurs who follow Trump around and go to rallies and sell overpriced merch in order to rip off his followers. They've kind of made a cottage industry out of peddling, like, hats and, like, t-shirts and dumb shit like this. And who knows if those guys are even Trump supporters or not. Maybe they're just, like, fucking, I don't know, pulling a grift. But whatever, the way I see it, it's like, if you're stupid enough to give someone money for a t-shirt that proudly proclaims you wearing diapers, I mean, go for it. Maybe you shouldn't have that money, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's too dangerous. Maybe if you didn't buy a dumbass t-shirt with that, you'd probably, like, I don't know, hurt somebody with it. Trump, of course, is getting hosed on Twitter by this, and it's fucking hilarious. I got a couple of these guys that I want to show you here. This is also on Twitter. I'm Gary Peterson. I'm 65, can bowl a perfect 100, and am the most patriotic mall Santa. Not only do I deliver diapers all across the country, but I also test them too. I vote President Trump because he too is diaper strong. #. Any questions? Please respect my feelings. This is a parody account, by the way, if you weren't able to tell. But still, yeah, so Trump is getting hosed for this stuff on Twitter. Here's another one. Give Trump a break. He wears golden diapers. Genuine Trump diapers. Only $24,000 for a box of 12. I am kind of surprised that the Trump campaign is not actually selling diapers already. I mean, you would think with all the stupid shit that they sell, shoes and NFTs and like all that other dumb fucking crap, and Bibles and shit, that they'd be all over the diaper thing. This is somebody named Annie. The stench in that courtroom with Donnie shitting his pants must be unbearable. And let's look at the political cartoon. The court is in recess while Mr. Trump gets a diaper change. Oh, the poor widow Trump. Poor widow Trump needs to take a nappy wappy. This is another little baby animation. Yeah. I'm not really sure where this cartoon and this GIF is taken from, but you know, I'll take it. One more from someone named Annie X. Snoring and farting in court will now forever be known as taking a Trump. Interesting. So yeah, you know, Trump is definitely getting hosed on Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and elsewhere for this. And you know something? It's about goddamn time. I mean, first off, the first thing is that this is not like the first time that Donald Trump has had this type of scandal. Like, there's two types of scandals, right? There's a scandal where you break the law and it's really bad. And then there's scandals where you do something that's really shitty and horrible. And those are sort of like character. Like, they're scandals about your character, you know, cheating on your wife or something like that, or cheating, you know, something shitty to one of your kids or whatever. Donald Trump has had multiple scandals of both types all throughout his presidency, before and after. It's nice to see that there's one that people might actually care about. Like, maybe this is a little bit too far. Maybe the shitting your pants and farting thing and falling asleep while you're, like, trying to insult your opponent for being old. Maybe that's finally starting to resonate with people that, like, you know, this guy is kind of a phony. And it really, I think, hurts his image, and in a good way, in a great way. Because, you know, Trump has this image, especially among his followers, that is really not deserved. You know, these are the people that put his face on the fucking, like, God Emperor of Mankind. Or they'll, like, put Trump's face on top of Rocky or something like that, saying that, you know, he's an alpha male. Like, you ever see Ben Garrison, like, political cartoonist, draw Trump? And he draws Trump all big and buff and all this other stuff. When in real life, he's, like, not anywhere close to that at all. He's not anywhere close. He's like Jabba the Hutt, this guy. Pizza the Hutt is what Donald Trump really is. Have you ever see Donald Trump stand? Like, he looks like... You know what? I need to look up a photo now. I know we're getting a little close to the end of this segment here, but there's one more thing that I want to kind of show you guys. Let's see. Trump standing. Like this. Okay, let's go ahead and bring this over here. Actually, let's just put it right here. You see how the way Donald Trump stands? See how he stands with his ass out? See how he kind of stands like that? Like he stands with his butt in the air, leaning forward. He looks like the first part of, like, people in a horse costume. You know what I mean? Like, behind him should be, like, another dude who's the ass end of the horse. And first off, you can also tell that he has lifts in his shoes. You can, if you look at his shoes here, he's got, like, high heels on. This is the Prime Minister of Canada, so does he, if you look. They both have, like, high heels in their shoes. So, right? This is your fucking alpha male here. This is the guy that Ben Garrison draws all big and strong. And this is the dude that they're putting the head on, the God Emperor of Mankind, like he's a fierce warrior. He's gonna save us all, and he's super tough, and Joe Biden is 80 years old, a decrepit old man. And it's like, no, this dude is like a fucking not anywhere close to that shit at all. He doesn't deserve this reputation of, like, this. He's got this image that he's like this strong, you know, alpha male type, and he's gonna go and he's gonna kick ass in Washington, and in real life it's like he's a fucking slug. I'm not the kind of person who gets on people for being out of shape. I mean, I'm overweight myself, kind of always have been, but I'm not pretending. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. That's what kind of pisses me off about it. Is that it's like this reputation that he doesn't deserve. He doesn't deserve this, like, reputation of being like this big, huge, tough alpha male guy, gonna take command and take control, and he's gonna kick out all the illegals and blah, 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 and he's gonna force Mexico to build the wall, and he's gonna stop the war and all this stuff. And he's not gonna do shit. He hasn't done shit. We saw what he did during his first fucking, like, you know, administration. He did nothing. He did nothing except personally fucking enrich himself and bend over backwards for every like fucking special interest and like business interest, right, on the face of the fucking planet, and then gave himself a giant fucking tax cut and screwed the rest of us as everybody else was dying of COVID. This like shits and pants thing, like that was the nickname that Michael Cohen gave him. You know, Baron von Shits and Pants. And yeah, it's crass. It's rude. Maybe we should be talking about the issues and shit like that. But you know something, folks? People don't give a shit about the issues. People don't care about the issues. If people gave a fuck about the issues, then Joe Biden would be 75 points ahead right now in the polls. There would be no fucking comparison. If people actually gave a fuck about the issues and they cared about past performances of your politicians, you know, we have one term of Donald Trump and now we have one term of Joe Biden to compare things to. And if people actually fucking did that when they made decisions, it wouldn't even be close. It would not even be close. But what in real life, what's actually happening is that, you know, Joe fucking Biden is like behind by like 10 points and stuff like that. Because people forgot how shitty life was under Donald Trump, because people have short fucking memories, and half the goddamn country basically fucking licks the ground that this guy walks on, because they're a bunch of like, they're in a goddamn cult. They're a bunch of brainwashed morons in a fucking cult. So maybe this might break through some of that to some of these people, and then maybe that's the benefit of stooping to their level a little bit. Well, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. At this point, I don't care. Does it work? Is it going to get people to not vote for this asshole? Then let's make fun of him and his fucking diaper wearing poopy pants as much as humanly fucking possible. Because fuck this guy. That's seriously, that I think we should put that on a bumper sticker. Donald Trump, fuck this guy. You know what? I'm going to go print up a bunch of those and like hand them out to people and shit. Because, you know, seriously, let's save the country.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.